What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Stu Nods podcast. We have a jam-packed episode geared toward more of the fitness side of things today. We have a guest lined up towards the end of the episode. Mike Abbatiello is an aspiring bodybuilder, and he has agreed to give us his insights, personal views inside the world of bodybuilding. But first, we have another sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Muscle God Fitness Apparel. Got a chance to speak with the founder of the brand, Fidel Taylor, and he has been kind enough to send over some gear for us to showcase on this episode. Their company is based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and the brand is run primarily by Fidel and his wife, Simone. They have some really awesome designs geared more towards the hardcore or elite of the gym goers. I'm sporting the Gym Trap hat, which I love the message behind this idea. Almost as if once you walk into the gym, you're sucked in and consumed by your personal goals and aspirations to get bigger, faster, and stronger. To Fidel, Simone, and everyone over at Muscle God Fitness Apparel, thank you for sponsoring this episode, and good luck in your futures with your brand. Dom.
Boom.
We have
professional ad intros.
We have.
You know.
I mean, yeah, it's episode 20. I'm getting there, man. It's getting a lot easier. So
it would suck if someone interrupted your intro.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen within the next few episodes.
Yeah,
I have a funny feeling it's going to happen, but okay. So we have a jam-packed episode today, and the one thing we should really talk about is during the quarantine when the gyms closed, really had no access to gym apparatus.
Gym equipment.
We had no access. We couldn't, achieve our fitness goals. We couldn't lose any weight, but Dom made it work, and he's going to talk a little bit about the weight he lost during the quarantine. But first, Dom, I want to ask you, where did you start, and where are you now in terms of your weight?
So I lost total 40 pounds
Nice.
since the beginning of the year. Started at 235 and got to 195 now.
Big boy to a lean boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, to start off, the winter, like last fall and winter, me and Joe, we're going to the gym consistently and really got on. First time we ever tried a strength performance routine or program.
More power-based program.
Right. So that was the first time we ever tried something like that. So, we were doing that. And then I remember after New Year's, we're like, all right, we were bulking up, we're getting pretty heavy. I mean, I got pretty damn heavy.
I got heavy as well. I think I was at like 260, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, the plan was, to put on mass, and then New Year's comes, we were gonna shred because I never really done like a bulk shred. I actually never tried to cut up before.
Right.
So we're like, all right, New Year's come, after New Year's, after the holidays, we'll start cutting.
Yeah.
So we started a little bit. And then obviously
it was going good.
It was going pretty good.
We had a nice program. You set up a nice cutting program, a little bit more rep oriented, contraction oriented, and we had a cardio regimen as well.
Yeah.
Like I know you were doing cardio probably like 2 or 3. Like twice a day probably or something like that.
No. It was probably like 3 times a week because I wasn't that crazy.
Okay, so, all right, but you were doing like Stairmaster, things like that.
Yeah.
I know I was jumping rope every time I went in the gym.
Right.
So everything was going good. The weight was coming off. Everything was good.
Yeah. So I was seeing progress. But then, we're starting to see progress a little bit, and the coronavirus hits.
Yeah.
So everything shuts down, all pissed off.
Right.
So in terms of fitness, I guess it was like a month or 3 weeks when we kind of didn't do anything, and then we were just like,
we got to do something.
We got to do something.
Yeah.
So we actually started doing like circuit training in Joe's garage.
Yeah, that was
with jump ropes and like 20-pound dumbbells.
Yeah, and then like I had like old weights down here, I got like a 1-inch barbell with like 25s on each side.
Right.
Yeah, and honestly, like that, you may have liked that. Personally, the way I like to try, I hated circuit training. I hate doing all that crap.
Yeah.
To me, it's just not enjoyable. I'd rather just go into the gym, load up the bar, and see if I can move it.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
obviously it cuts weight, and it was a way I never really trained. I'm sure being you, like that's why we both didn't really like it.
I mean, I would like when I was playing baseball at school, like I would be on like a running program, but nothing like circuit based or anything like that.
So we were doing that for a few weeks. It got old real quick in the cold.
Yeah, it's like March.
A little bit of equipment. It's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah,
but it kind of motivated us because, like, all right, at least we're doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I still had the goal. I wanted to cut up. I wanted to just, completely try to rechange my routine and nutrition and just see what I can do. I've never done it, and I've got to a point where I was very uncomfortable with my weight where I was.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know what time, but early on the shutdown, I bought a stationary bike, exercise bike that you could put in your house, and I bought it for $500, which was a decent price for what it is.
That's pretty good for what it is. Yeah.
And then I remember Joe looked up the bike like a month or two later.
Nah, honestly, you told me you got the bike, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna look it up. I looked it up, went on Amazon because you got it on Amazon, right? Went on Amazon. And it was sold out from Amazon, but then there's like an option to see from like other sellers, and it was price gouged to like $1,000 bucks.
Yeah, it was some shit.
I was like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
Like, I don't have that money.
Well, yeah, I mean, gym equipment was just, everybody was buying it. But then it's like, all right, like, majority of the people are probably buying this equipment. How many times are actually using that shit? That was pissing me off.
Yeah, we'll get more into that a little bit later.
Anyway, so got the bike, and then I was kind of home. I mean, I was working a little bit, but then I got into this routine where, I was doing fasted cardio in the morning on the bike every single day, and intermittent fasting. Yeah. So my window was 12 to 8 eating. I probably had the calorie intake. It was probably around like 2,200 calories. And it consisted of like 2 meals and like a protein bar.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't lifting. Like I wasn't really lifting heavy. I was just doing cardio, which is fine.
So then you had that like the old all-in-one home gym in your basement.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. My dad has equipment from the 70s. That was work. I mean, it was
still in good shape.
Right. It worked because it was just to maintain muscle.
Right.
But yeah, so I would do basically every 2 weeks, like every other week, every other Friday, I would weigh in, and each time I would see down 1 pound, 2 pounds, sometimes even 3 pounds. Like in the beginning when it was just cutting off.
Yeah.
It was a very addictive feeling in a good way.
Sure.
I kept getting a big high from it every time I stepped on the scale. So yeah, I mean, did that for 3 months. Right before summer, I got down to like 205. Felt great, and then throughout the summer kind of maintained, and then since September, October, I've been cutting down, so I lost another 5 pounds or so. But, and Joe will start to explain, we were able to get access to a lot of equipment.
Yes.
Packed on a lot more muscle again, and like I'm very happy with the way I feel right now and look.
Sure.
And I'm not stopping at all. I mean,
why would you?
I'm motivated as hell.
Why would you?
Beginning of the year, I'm gonna crack down and really try to, break in and change my life a little bit.
Yeah,
but that was kind of my journey through in quarantine.
Yeah,
and that was the thing. It was, it'll show when Joe kind of explains a little bit. Is I hope that it shows the people that are actually committed to fitness, and not necessarily like, I always hate making the comparison between being like a gym bro and stuff. Like, I always just relate fitness to a very mentally strong person.
For sure.
Because it builds the mind-body connection is absolutely incredible what fitness can do for you.
Absolutely.
And, I tell a lot of people, they ask me like, oh, why are you doing this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's to look good, feel good, all that. But at the same time, it's like, it's just it builds your mentality 10 times more, man. It just develops you as a better person.
I mean, for me, like if you know who I am personally on a personal level, I'm not the most even-keeled kind of person. I'm very kind of angry and aggressive. So the gym for me is just such a good outlet, such a good tool. It kind of keeps me sane.
Right.
And I think it does that for a lot of people. It's just a tool in my life that I use to help me with my personal shit. Right. So
there's a lot of times too, man, since I'm kind of realizing what life is now at 23 years
right.
old, a lot more anxiety builds up, which is fine. I mean, everybody deals with it.
That's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, everybody deals with it.
Right.
But, being able to go to the gym or go on the bike and the gym the same day, like, you have to dedicate 3 hours a day to fitness and, making sure you're eating properly and logging in your food and everything.
Right.
But, that's the commitment. And I think if you can do that, I really think you can accomplish anything.
Absolutely. Consistency is the key, man. If you just stay consistent, and like you said, once you see a few pounds go down and then another few, then it becomes an addictive thing, and you just kind of get on a ball at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we always say consistency is key.
Right.
With building your body, and it is.
It's anything.
And that and it completely correlates to anything you do in your life. If you're consistent with your job, or like I'm a filmmaker, so I'm always writing, like consistently writing. Whatever you're doing, if you're consistent about it and have a certain vision at the end of the tunnel, like it's only on you. And that's
Absolutely.
the thing I like about the gym. It's it's you versus you at that point.
Exactly. And I think that is something a lot of people can relate to, because just life in general, most of the time, is just a battle within yourself.
Right.
And the gym just brings that out. And to me, like, that is just, I need that in my life. Like, I need to constantly keep competing with myself, because no one's ever going to beat you down worse than yourself. And that's the way I kind of look at things.
Yeah. So Joe, care to explain? That was my little spiel.
Yeah.
Care to explain what you did?
So while Dom was doing his thing on the bike, his fasted cardio, losing some weight, I kind of went backwards. I wasn't working out. I was working from home at the time. Gained a lot of weight. Gained it all back from when we started in January, and where I got to a point in February, beginning of March. Gained all the weight back. And then I'd probably say around June, middle of June, me and my dad and my mom had a conversation about purchasing some gym equipment, and it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, all right, you know what, like the way things are going, the way, equipment is being price gouged, we just got to buy now because it's only going to get worse. So bit the bullet, purchased, squat rack, some plates. What else did I buy? I bought the same bike Dom actually bought. I finally found it when it was not price gouged to fucking shit. It was $500, so that was good. And then I got some cables, and then I was helped out by my girlfriend's uncle. He had some old gym equipment he wasn't using, and he was kind enough to give it to me, to hand it over. Yeah. So
the funny thing is too is that again, back to what we were saying when quarantine first, or COVID first hit.
Right.
We were just doing bullshit workouts in your garage.
Yeah.
And we just kept thinking, like, imagine if we had our own setup in here. It'd be so great and everything. Open the doors in the summer.
Yeah.
And then, you finally did it.
Finally did it. So that was like definitely like the turning point. Like once I purchased all this equipment, I was like, okay, like now you have no excuse. Now you can't sit on your ass. You can't, do this whole woe is me attitude. I can't do anything because the gyms are closed kind of thing. Like now you have no excuse. You can literally roll out of bed and get right underneath the bar. You know what I mean? So
you could sleep there.
I could sleep there. So it's just,
wake up.
Yeah.
Joe, what are you doing?
It's
sleep lifting.
Sleep lifting
instead of sleepwalking.
So I just want to talk a little bit about purchasing the gym equipment. So originally, like, if this pandemic never happened, all this equipment would have been available. I could have just bought as much as I wanted. Didn't have to worry about delayed shipping, increased, cost, increased freight shipping, all that stuff. But because of the pandemic, there are a ton of people just snapping up equipment. And like Dom said, like how are these people actually like using this equipment? Or are they just like, oh, well, now it's a quarantine and now the gyms are closed, so now I really have no choice. But,
right. And then it's just collecting dust wherever they stored it.
Right. Exactly. So it was really hard to get a hold of some equipment, but around that time, like around summer, when I guess that initial wave of people buying the equipment kind of died down, went on Rogue Fitness, their website, and I saw a squat rack, and I'm like, all right, that's the first piece. Bought that. To get the barbell though, I couldn't find, their website was sold out for months. Rogue's website. So I went on eBay, and I did pay a little bit of extra money for the barbell. I think originally on their website it's like $250. On eBay I ended up spending like $400. So
is it Rogue? Is it a Rogue bar?
Yeah, it's an Echo bar.
I never noticed,
the reason why I wanted to get that is because we do some heavy lifting, and I didn't want to buy like a cheap bar for like $100 that was gonna bend and snap and all that shit.
Right.
So I wanted a bar that can withstand that kind of weight. So bought that. Everything else, the plates were the last thing to come. Now the plates were interesting because I think before the pandemic, price per pound, it was like 75 cents or $1 per pound. Now it's $2 a pound, and that is a huge difference. So the plates are the most expensive part of all the equipment that I bought. So I think for everything that I bought, it was like $1,100 for the plates, but then plus shipping and freight, it turned out to be $1,500. That's what it came out to. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I could have put that towards something else. You know what I mean? If I didn't have to spend that much on plates. But it is what it is. I got them, and it's an investment. because when I have my own house, my own home, I now have a home gym that I can have for the rest of my life that I can pass down to my kids, all that kind of thing. So it's a lot of money, but I like that I'm starting to build it now, because I think one day I want to have just an unbelievable setup to where going to a gym will be obsolete and I won't need to go anymore, because the training environment, training in your own home, blasting your own music, taking your time, curling in the squat rack. You can do all the things you're not supposed to do in a gym, but it's your home, so it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever the fuck you want. So that's why I like training in that environment.
And the big thing is, the big thing too is exactly what you said is there's no excuse. Even for me, even for all of our friends that come and train.
Right.
It's right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay a fee.
Right.
You have to pay a lot of money, but
that's fine.
You're letting us come over.
But people are getting use out of it. And that's the main thing I wanted. Like, if it turned out to be just me using it and then you coming over occasionally and then nobody else fucking using it, then I'd be like, all right, well, this is kind of stupid. But I'm glad, there's times where we have fucking, 5 of our friends, 6 of our friends in there lifting. And it gets crowded, but it's a good time at the same time. So, but what I was saying before is I think training in an environment like that where it's your own space, you're very comfortable, you can do what you want, you can scream, you can yell, you can grunt, whatever. I've gotten considerably stronger in my garage than I have at a commercial gym with all these machines and all that shit. And I don't know if it was just taking that time off and letting my body kind of recoup from just months and months of heavy lifting, or if it's because I can feel like I can push myself, and if I make an ass out of myself, it's okay. I'm in my home. I'm in my house. So that kind of mental block isn't there anymore.
We got smelling salts.
We have smelling salts. Yeah. Kind of went a little overboard with that.
Yeah, but if we go in retro or somewhere else, like a commercial gym, and sniffing smelling salts and shit,
and then
like,
yell
you just
after.
Look like,
you look like an asshole. Right.
But now, it's in your garage, it's actually just hilarious.
Right, and a big thing about lifting, especially when you're lifting really heavy weight, is you have to psych yourself up. You know what I mean? You have to get yourself in a mindset where you're an animal. You're just an animal. You have to pick up.
I'm an animal.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get that weight, and you have to do everything you can to fucking get it up. Like, that is the best way to train, in my opinion. And I feel like you can't really do that in a commercial gym without looking like a douchebag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because,
we have if you don't, no one's listening, but we have background in baseball.
Right.
And both played in college, and it was different when you go in the weight room with your team compared to going to the rec center or just like a commercial gym outside. It's the same environment I feel now. Is like you can kind of all surround. It's like kind of like it's a very heightened moment when you hit a PR or something. Like, it's just great. Fun. It's a fun atmosphere. Where, I think a lot of when you see people kind of moping around and just going through the motions and a commercial gym, it's
right.
What are you really doing?
Right. Exactly.
But the one thing I want to say too is, now you've upgraded the equipment in the garage.
Yep.
But it's really just a squat rack, a barbell.
Yep.
Weights. You have to have a lot of plates. And that's kind of what we started with.
But it's all. But I get what you're trying to say. It's all free weight.
It's all free weight. But you can look at our gym we got going now compared to retro. You can kind of take a picture of each, compare them, and it's it only looks like nothing at what we've been training at, but you make the most, and that's all you fucking need. You don't need all those bullshit machines and everything,
dude. I've like I said before, I've gotten considerably stronger being in there with my equipment than I was when we were going to retro. Right. Even when we went through that crazy bulk and powerlifting program and all that stuff, the strength is just, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but I took off for 4 months. I didn't do anything for 4 months.
Yeah.
I should have gotten so much weaker. But yeah, man. It goes to show you that you don't need all the bells and whistles to.
It's nice. It's nice to have.
Of course it's nice.
But you got to know how to really grind through, the grit moment.
Right.
The grit start, I guess you could
Absolutely,
say.
yeah. It's a good training experience.
Then you can have access to the machines.
Yeah. You got to be able to handle, just the barbell first before you can, use all the machines to bodybuild and whatnot. But yeah, man. it's just been an awesome time having all that equipment. It's been an absolute blast having you guys come and, get stronger and see the progress we've been making. And yeah, it's just a really good time. But we do live in Jersey, and it's starting to get a little bit colder out. Mm-hmm. So that was the one concern I had when I bought all this equipment. Where was it going to go? The only place it could go was the garage. So what happens when it reaches, the winter season? Now that it's getting cold, I have like two like space heaters that I bought off Amazon. And I run them pretty much all day if we're going to be lifting out there. And it does get pretty warm in there. But if it's just you lifting in there, it's still a little bit cold. You have to lift with probably sweats and a sweatshirt on, maybe sometimes even a jacket, some gloves. But if you have more people in there, I find that you can work out in a t-shirt and shorts. It's not that bad. But
it's pretty warm.
But with that being said, I've been doing a little bit of research, and there is kind of like a debate out there, and it is, do you burn more calories in warm weather or cold weather? And I thought it was really interesting because you think like, oh, well, if it's cold out, I'm not sweating, I feel like I'm not getting a good workout in, so I'm probably not burning as many calories. When in reality, when it's cold out, your body is fighting to stay warm. Thus, you're burning more calories. And if it's super humid out, you burn out a lot quicker and you can't work out for longer. So a couple articles, one from Vox.com, talks about this, exercising in cold weather. And they don't talk about heavy lifting on cold weather. I just want to make that clear right now. They talk about, doing some light jogging, maybe a walking, things like that. So that's what this is based around. I highly, highly recommend that you do not lift heavy in a cold environment. You're injury prone at that point. You will hurt yourself. You'll pull something. It's not going to be a good time. But it's an interesting thing to talk about. If I were to take a walk in the middle of the summer or to take a walk in the middle of the winter, what am I going to burn? When am I going to burn more calories? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, originally you think summer because you're just dripping sweat. Like, again, when he first bought the equipment, it was around summertime, so there were times when you're lifting in there, just humid as hell.
Yeah.
High 90s, something like that. And I have like a really big Yeti, and I would chug like 36-ounce Yeti, and I would chug 2 of those just in one workout.
Yeah, I would go through
you're
6
just
of those
dripping.
Poland Spring water bottles.
Yeah, it was great. So I mean, yeah, you think you lose more weight in that type of atmosphere.
Right. But it's because your body is using more energy to stay warm when it's cold out. So, I mean, like, again, if you're going to take a walk or do some light running, maybe doing it in the cold might be better for you. But if you do it in the summer too, it's still good. Moral of the story is you just should be an active person, be active in your lifestyle.
Go for a walk.
And I think it's just such an interesting thing because, that was like such a big concern is like, how do we warm up the garage when it's cold out?
Right.
And then I was just, on the interwebs and I stumbled across this study, and yeah, it's funny that you actually burn more calories when you're, in the cold. Only walking though. If you're working out, it's completely different. But yeah.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting. Extremely interesting. All right, so now we're going to segue into the first ever Zoom interview on the Stu Nods podcast. We are going to be interviewing Mike Abbatiello, a aspiring bodybuilder, and he's agreed to give us his insights and views inside the world of bodybuilding. And he had just competed in the Universe bodybuilding show, which is pretty damn impressive. And it was his first show, right?
I believe so. I mean, we'll find that out. Right, but I think so. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. All right, yeah. So Mike Abbatiello, everybody. All right.
So Mike, this is my buddy Joe.
What's going on, man?
He's the co-host.
What's going on? Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, we're really excited for this.
Yeah. Happy
okay.
to be here.
Yeah, definitely.
Want to get started?
Yeah, we'll get started.
All right.
Okay, so real quick, just a brief introduction of yourself, where you're from, and an occupation for you as well.
Okay, so my name is Michael Abbatiello. I'm not going to say I'm a bodybuilder yet.
Okay.
I'm an electrician, but from Flemington, like
a jacked electrician.
Been all over the state, been all over New Jersey. So I moved to Hoboken, and that was kind of where I started training a little bit more seriously. That was a couple of years ago, and now I'm in Somerset. So
Nice.
kind of found myself a little home here. But
Awesome.
that's my background. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, just a quick question, just a few questions for you. First one is, when did you start bodybuilding?
Okay, so There's kind of a line there. So to answer your question, I started training seriously every day 3 years ago. So like 2017.
Okay.
But it wasn't necessarily to be a bodybuilder. What ended up happening was after like a year and a half, I plateaued and I didn't see any gains, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And that was at the time I moved to Hoboken and I met my first pro. Alan Jean, his name is. Guy's massive. He's just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
He's been a pro for a couple of years, but biggest dude at New York Sports Club in Hoboken. And I had asked him for a spot. And so he came, he's like, why are you pressing, 370 pounds? Like, I don't even press that. Now, this guy's way bigger than me, right?
Right.
So I go, what do you mean? You're huge. And he goes, nah, this is not what you need to do. And I said, I've been trying to get bigger. I plateaued. And that was when he was like, you need a new goal. You should do a show. And so that was when I kind of started a transition between just, I guess, fitness and bodybuilding. I'd say that's when I crossed that line.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
That's a cool story.
Okay, so started bodybuilding, started training seriously, but I'm assuming that you have maybe an athletic background. If you could talk a little bit about.
Yeah. So, there's a lot here. So I'm a 3-sport athlete, football, wrestling, and baseball.
Nice.
So all through high school as well. And hold on one second, I just got a pop-up coming on here. And so it was pretty tough for me because I'd like to think I was pretty decent at all of them. State champ at baseball 4-time, football 2-time, and wrestling. I went to states once, but I wasn't very good. I was mediocre wrestler. But anyways, it was different types of training. So baseball was kind of just like be in shape, right? Football was like get as huge and as strong as you can.
Absolutely.
And then it was like right to wrestling. So it was like from get big to get small.
Right.
All of them different types of training. None of them are like bodybuilding. They're all for an athlete. Whereas kind of, not that you're not an athlete as a bodybuilder, but it's just very different. It's more for aesthetic than it is for speed, agility, and strength or power. You know what I mean? So you're more shaping yourself.
Definitely. That's awesome. Okay, so moving on, I just want to talk a little bit about like your inspirations, like who or what even inspires you.
Okay, so this is a bittersweet, no problem. So I went through a divorce 4 years ago, and that was kind of the fuel for that, like reignited me, so to speak. Like I said, I was a 3-sport athlete. I did play some sports, like in, not that I went to college, but what would have been my college years, like RV and stuff like that.
Right.
But that was what kind of reignited me to better myself and get going again, because I was just, like I said, sustaining. And it wasn't good. It was a bad sustain. I was fat and out of shape and eating cookies. Gosh.
Yeah, we all have that. That happens to all of us.
It goes. We go.
So everything in moderation.
Right. Yeah, definitely. All right. So I mean, we talked a little bit about nutrition right there. What is your contest prep like for you? Like your nutrition plan, calorie intake, protein intake.
Good question. Okay, so I don't know if you guys want to get into PEDs at all too, but we could touch on that.
I mean, that's totally up to you if you want to talk about that. Yeah, it's up to you, man.
We'll go nutrition. Yeah, no problem. Pretty open about everything. I was natural on stage, but I take funny shit. But we'll get there. So nutrition. So nutrition is crazy topic. Your diet changes constantly throughout prep. So I started around 1,900 calories intake about 16 weeks out.
Okay.
While I was burning 700 calories a day. Now, of that was just doing cardio, not even going, because my coach, great coach, didn't really factor in me being an electrician. So I was burning a lot more calories a day. I was burning 700 calories in the morning and then going to work and pulling the wire. Like crazy. I was like, couldn't stand up at times, it's crazy. But balancing your macros, so your fats, your carbohydrates, your proteins, that is a huge, huge thing. And everybody is different.
Yeah.
So you have to be really mindful of what you're putting in yourself. Pay attention, see how it affects you. A lot of people, they mistake food for like Netflix, like entertainment for your taste buds.
Right.
It's not what it is. It's fuel. It's fuel. You're putting fuel in your body. So, you know, if you want to fuel yourself with Oreos or you want to fuel yourself with steak, it's up to you. The choice is yours. But I don't want to hear people bitch about the results they didn't get for the work and the diet they didn't commit to.
That's,
you know what I mean?
Very
so
true.
That's all it's about, man. Yeah.
Got to be a balance there. So, just to reiterate, like 1900 calorie intake, burn 700 calories. The 700 calorie burn stayed pretty much the entire time up to a week before stage, and then kind of cooled off.
Okay.
The caloric intake decreased from 1900 calories to 1800 calories to 17 to 16 to 1500 calories,
shit.
like 15 and change.
That's crazy.
Like every other week. So every 2 weeks, it dropped.
Yeah.
While the cardio
so it dropped like 100
stayed the
calories.
same. It dropped 100 calories while you're right. So you start to shred. So I went from I started at like 200 pounds. I thought I was pretty lean at 191. I ended up getting down to 181.
Wow.
So I dropped like 20 pounds. Now, keep in mind, I was already going to the gym every day and doing cardio every day when I was that, 199 or 200 pounds. So to pull another 20 pounds off of me was pretty crazy.
That
miserable.
is definitely
what did you cardio to burn that much? Like, was it Stairmaster, and like how long, like the durations and everything?
So my first coach from Hoboken was not the coach that I went to stage with. I went to stage with a coach called AJ Ellison. And my first coach told me to do the Stairmaster, one cardio session for like, could be 40 minutes or it could be an hour, depends how hard you're working up there. But that was my go-to. That's like a staple, the Stairmaster. I don't run. It's a different type of cardio when you're stressing your heart rather. Like running makes you breathe heavy, which makes your heart pump. Stairs makes your muscles work, which makes your heart pump, which makes you breathe heavy. So it's like a different type of cardio, and it's way better for shaping. That's one thing I will say has been consistent with all the pros that I've talked to and been fortunate enough to be coached by, is the Stairmaster is just a go-to. Now, the only difference between the first pro and the second pro, AJ and Alan, was that AJ, who is a national champion, by the way, national professional champion. AJ is just a pro. Or I had that backwards. Alan is just a pro. AJ is a national champion.
Yeah.
AJ said to do a split. So burn 350 calories in the morning, burn 350 calories in the afternoon. So that got really, it was nice because it was half the amount of cardio in the morning, but then I still had to get my lift in. Yeah. And man, it got hard as you start to decrease those calories.
Oh my God.
You're operating in a deficit all the time. All the time. So I got to be pretty cranky.
Wow.
Well, I remember I saw you, what was that, like March? We did the shoot at Zone together, and because you were prepping for like an April show or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It was like a different show that you were going for, and then obviously it probably got canceled.
If you could stick to this sport, bodybuilding, in 2020, man, you could do pretty much anything you want. So it was the Stephen Stone Metropolitan. It was a national qualifier show. Okay. So there's a little backstory here. Okay. So it was it was a regional show, national qualifier. Okay.
Right.
So that was supposed to be each Easter weekend in March. And I was in prep then for that. I've been in prep for almost a year since January.
I remember I saw you in March, and you were kind of like, dude, like I'm going to the gym every morning. I'm running on low fumes here. I'm like, oh shit. But you look good though. At that point.
Now I got to hold a camera. Yeah,
there you go.
So that show ended up getting postponed like 4 times and then canceled. So I stayed, and when they postponed it, it wasn't like a week. It was like a month. So they postponed it a month and then another month. So all the guys, myself included, were staying in prep. And then they ended up, after 4 months of postponements, they ended up canceling the show.
Oh my God.
So then there was NBC Universe, right, which is a national show, right? So not that I didn't have any business being on that stage. I didn't take last, and I fit in up there. I did fine. But let me explain it to you. Every single other competitor, other than myself, had taken first, had won a regional qualifier in order to get on that stage. And because of COVID and canceling the Metropolitan one, it opened up a loophole in the rules for me to even compete in NBC Universe.
Oh, wow.
So all of the guys, let me tell you, when we were backstage getting pumped up, and I'm talking with like these guys, they were not happy to find out that this was my first time being up on that stage, blah, 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 blah. Now, they don't care about all the work and whatever, and they know, I looked fine, like fit in, but they did not like that. So I shut up real quick. I had two people tell me, maybe you should do a local show first,
Well, that's the thing. It's crazy. When I found out that you competed at Universe, I was like, damn, like, because I remember, this was your first like show on stage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's honestly incrable, man. The fact that this was your first ever show to step on such a big stage like that. I mean, you saw it. Yeah, you saw it too with the guys giving you credit. Like, that's huge, man.
Yeah. So I had just so we can round circle to the PEDs here. So I had just so much invested by the time March had came around that I was just like trying to cross my finish line. And so I was about $22,000 in. That's what I had invested between, and that's not including food. That is drugs, right? That's training. That's posing classes. That's coaching.
Wow.
Diet plan, blood work, doctors. There's just so much crap. So I just had to cross the finish line, and the Universe ended up being that finish line.
Right.
But as far as PDs, you want me to roll right into that?
Go right ahead.
So like with steroids and stuff, so I've done plenty of steroids. I haven't taken steroids since September. Okay. And I also ran GH. Mm-hmm. So that was, I think, the biggest thing for me was the GH. I ran that for a year. It was also the most expensive freaking thing in the whole world. It's like $600 a month.
Wow.
Just for that, you know what I mean? But then you start to get into steroids, and what I did was microdosing. So I took I started out like any kid, like researching on the internet, and
of course
trying to figure out what's going on. Finally, I'm gonna just and I don't suggest doing this. I don't condone it. Steroids are bad.
Right. Most pros don't condone the use.
But if you're gonna do it smart, under a doctor's care. Have blood work, so you're routinely monitoring your levels, and then also have somebody coaching you and guiding you. So I paid like a lot of money to my coaches, who have already done all the experimenting. Now, to each his own. There's still different effects for different people. So you have to see how your body reacts, and your coach has to see how your body reacts. But so the way that I ran my shit was GH for a full year. You hold a lot of water with GH. So I stopped that 4 weeks before show. So I stopped that at like middle of October. Also because I ran out, because I just didn't have any more money. And then, like I said, the steroids were, and I'm talking about pinning now, injections. That stopped again, you hold water. That stopped in September. Now, I took oral steroids up until 3 days before stage. So that's it's the same, but it's different. I hate being a pincushion and just keep sticking shit in your butt. It's a pain in the ass. But I mean, as long as my levels stayed reasonable and where I wanted them, and where the doctor honestly said you're okay.
Right.
I was fine, and then pulling them, it made everything really hard because you get like lethargic, and you're not as big anymore, as strong. So you're looking in the mirror and you're like, what happened? It's like a little bit of a head game.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? But yeah, so that's kind of my experience. I suggest doing things all natural. It's really like to pull everything together here. It's like 80% diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like 10% working out, 8% cardio, and like 2% is the drugs.
Yeah.
But that 2% could really fuck you too. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
People don't know what they're doing, and they fuck themselves up, and they have side effects and stuff. And guys turn into assholes. And there's all different looks that you need to understand too, and you need to do your research because all of the different drugs do different things and they give you different looks. And I am not going for the juice head, humongous everything look. Like that is not what I want to do. Not not to sound like a softie, but like men's physique is like a beautiful body. That's what you're looking for, like a big V, big shoulders, small waist.
Right, a classic look.
And so that's more of what I was going for, and I don't really need to. While it helps to take shit, I don't have to do it in order to get to where I want to go.
Right.
But it did take me 27 years of living on this planet to figure out that the physique that I wanted was unnatural.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Under Armour guys and professional athletes and all these fitness models my whole life as a wrestler, football player, baseball player. And I'm like, man, I work my ass off. Why don't I look like that? You know?
Right.
There's no way this dude is putting in the time that I am, just like the majority of people at the gym think, right? But sure enough, I was right. And it wasn't a natural look that I was striving for. So it wasn't until I really discovered that I even considered it. I was just like at a point in my life where I had gone through the divorce. I was alone. It made me feel good. I enjoy going to the gym.
Absolutely.
So I did it. And I don't regret it. I had a good time.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
awesome, man.
Definitely. All right. So talking a little bit about contest prep, let's talk after the contest. Cause I know I follow, a lot of different fitness personalities on YouTube, on Instagram, all that kind of thing. What is the first cheat meal that you're having after that contest? Like what's the first thing you want?
So that's a great question. I had chicken and waffles and a beer.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. And then I had a bacon cheeseburger with fries.
Yeah.
But that was actually okay. So, it was interesting. I wish that I had eaten. You're asking that question, and I'm wishing that I had eaten between. There was a preliminary and there's a final to get on stage twice. And I wish that I had that cheat meal in between because it was already over. Those guys were massive.
Fuck it. Go on stage eating a cheeseburger.
Why wait the 8 hours?
Right.
But that was my first meal. That was my first cheat.
That's awesome. All right. So talking more about just, your bodybuilding journey in general, I find it difficult to balance your work life and your bodybuilding passions.
Oh man. Yeah. It's really, really hard. You have to really want it.
Right.
But another thing that I'll say too, it's a crazy schedule. So I would start my days at like 4:30 in the morning. I would wake up, eat my first meal. I'm eating 7 meals a day. My last meal is at like 10 o'clock at night. So start at 4:30 in the morning and I'll finish at 10.
Wow.
And you're going to the gym at least twice a day. Mm-hmm. And if you want it, you'll do it. It's as simple as that. Some people want sleep more than they want to be successful, and I read a few books and I can tell you that the majority of the successful people that I want to be like start their days very early. So that is one of the things that I have adopted and tried to continue with.
Nice. That's crazy. So how long would you go and work your, daytime job? Like what was your gaps throughout your day?
So 4:30 is for breakfast. 5 o'clock, I'm on Stairmaster. By 6 o'clock, the showers are closed at the gym. So work starts at 7. So I have to get showered and be at work by, let's say, 6:45, right? So I'm in the gym for an hour, 5 to 6. I come home, I shower, I go right to work. I'm working from 7 until 3:30. Okay, have my meals all prepped for work. Come home, go back to the gym like 4:30, 5 o'clock for another hour. Usually only 30-minute cardio, 30-minute lift. But when I say a 30-minute lift, I mean like circuit training, no breaks, like three exercises at a time. Lifting, working. It's not like I'm on my phone or talking to this person or checking out this chick. Like
Yeah.
And then so then an hour at the gym, come home, shower again, whatever it is, fourth set of clothes. I have to do laundry like every freaking day. And then I eat and pass out. I spend twice as much time in the kitchen cooking and meal prepping and eating as I do in the gym. So that's pretty much it. So it's work, the gym, my room, my bed, and the kitchen is pretty much where I spend all of my time while I'm in prep.
Right.
Literally.
When you meal prep, did you like cook on a Sunday and then have everything for the rest of the day, or like the night before?
So one thing that I didn't touch upon before when I was saying how packed my schedule was is that despite it being so packed, I feel that it gives you structure. Yeah. So I actually strive when I have more to do. On the weekends, when I don't have to go to the gym, I don't have to be at work at 7. It's more lackadaisical, and I don't necessarily hit it like as hard, so to speak. I have to be on top of it. So that's my structure, and it's so crazy. So one of my breaks is food shopping. So I really enjoy going to the grocery store and picking out my piece of salmon or my piece of tuna or my chicken and like examining it. And I also like to eat fresh. So I would really only food prep for like 2 days at a time. And I'm constantly cooking, but that's a lot. Like you have to understand if I'm home, I'm having like 3 of those meals at home. That means I'm having four of them out. So for 2 days, that's 8 meal prep containers. That's a lot, And I have a roommate. We split the fridge. Yeah. So I can't be taken up. I already take up 3/4 of the freaking thing.
What was like the main protein sources? Like, what was there, like just 3 protein sources you did, or did you kind of like? Because I was meal prepping a little bit. Like our episode, we've just been talking about fitness and our journeys, and I've found to the point where when I'm eating literally the same thing at the same time every day, it's like I get pissed off. I'm like, I just want to start to at least have a different type of taste, So I'm curious.
Seasonings are your best friend. But you're really talking more like nutritional theory.
Yeah.
So like my coaches had different opinions on what you're talking about. One thing that was consistent was every morning I had 10 eggs, 8 egg whites and 2 whole eggs every single morning. Both coaches said that. That's the first thing you want. That's not because of the protein in the eggs. That's because of the natural BCAAs, which people don't realize. Okay. So that's why you're loading it early in the mornings for recovery. What I prefer, it was my first coach. He tried to give me like a different source of protein for every meal. So I would have fish, I'd have chicken, I'd have eggs, I'd have ground beef. Every day I'd have one of each, if not, 2. And then obviously protein shakes, things like that.
Right.
So everything, not one particular one. My favorite is just eggs and chicken. It's just the easiest thing, and I can switch it up in so many different ways. And I'm a big like stir fry guy. Yeah. Fried rice, chicken fried rice, shrimp fried rice.
Yeah.
Do it so many different ways. I like.
Well, that was one thing I found out too, especially in the summer. I started eating more shrimp, just do like shrimp and rice and stuff like that. And I think, I mean, you would probably know better, but like I feel like shrimp filled me a lot more because I was able to eat more because it was lower in calories, and it was just a really good lean source of protein. So I was able to have like 18 to 20 the shrimp compared to, just
Yep.
having a piece of
So
chicken.
one thing that I would suggest that if you are gonna meal prep ever is to weigh your food.
Yeah, I've been doing
because
that.
that is that's a huge one, and here's why. It's because at this point now, I have done that so many times. It's almost like you're a nutritionist. I can look at a plate and tell you about how much it weighs, so then I can tell you the macros that are on my plate. So I know what I'm going to eat now just by looking at it, because I've weighed so much food and I know the nutritional value of so many different foods. Like, who knows that a cup of sugar is 200 grams? Who knows that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Who knows that? Who knows a quarter cup of flour, right, which is like a slice, is 100 calories? You don't know. You have to start to cook, and you have to start to know what shit is. And after you measure rice so many times, and soy sauce and shrimp. But yeah, and then a good thing, just rule of thumb, 2 to 1 to 1. So that's your ratio for macros. Okay. So 2 grams of protein for every 1 gram of fat for every 1 gram of carbs. So if you're going to have 100 grams of rice, you want 200 grams of protein and 100 grams of fat.
Yeah.
For every meal, like as a generality, as a generality, that's a good guide, right? So that might be like a piece of whole grain toast, an avocado, and 8 eggs. That'll get you there. It might be 8 ounces of chicken, 200 grams of rice, 7 asparagus. That'll also get you there.
Yeah. That was one thing.
It might be 3 rice cakes, almond butter, and a half a banana. That'll get you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, once I started weighing my food, and it was only recently, last few months, started actually weighing it, and I didn't realize how much. Exactly what you're saying. Like, I would look at just say a bowl of ground turkey or pieces of chicken. I'm like, oh, that piece of chicken's maybe 6 ounces, and I'll eat it. And then I started to weigh it. I'm like, oh shit, that was only 4 ounces of chicken. I got to add more. So it was weird, because it was you feel like you have to eat a certain amount, but I realized I was able to eat more than when I actually started counting my calories and weighing my food like that.
Yep. That's another thing I do too, is I take supplements for digestion, for carbohydrate digestion, and also to help me eat more, because there'll be times like an enzyme that helps you digest food to eat more, because I'll be eating so much I won't be able to eat as much as I'm supposed to.
The last question I would definitely want to ask is, being that you have competed in the universe now, you've been bodybuilding for some time, is would you consider going for that pro card?
So I'm really, really thinking about it, and I got a bunch of pros now that have been reaching out that all want to train me to go for it and train with them. And it's I'll answer it this way. I'm not sure, and I'm just kind of going to take a little bit of a break and see what life throws at me. I can't really see being able to attack a show as I would like to attack a show with a significant other, with a girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah.
I ended relationships. I moved. There was so much that happened, so much that was sacrificed, good and bad, for this show, that I'm not sure I would put somebody through it. So it would depend on where I'm at. Theoretically, I mean, who doesn't want to be considered a professional athlete? That was the idea, right? Sure. But I have a lot of work to do. I stepped on stage with those guys. It was very eye-opening, and they're big, man. And genetics are just a small piece of it, but my waist is never going to be 27 inches. You know what I mean? Some of those guys have 52-inch shoulders with a 27-inch waist.
That's just insane.
So it's just crazy.
That is insane, man.
So I'm at a 30-inch waist with 50-inch shoulders.
Okay.
So they got that's a lot, though.
Oh,
that's a lot of shoulder work to do. So we'll see. But yeah, I've been lifting my back, my lats, and my shoulders, because that's what the judges said that I was, most shitty in. So not to be as transparent as possible. But bigger shoulders, bigger delts, bigger lats, and We'll get there. It's
Absolutely.
time. Those guys are seasoned, man.
Right.
They're seasoned. They were on stage talking like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to nationals next weekend, and then Texas the week after that." Like, dude, I did this in my spare time. I'm going to pull wire tomorrow.
Right.
Like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on today. You said a lot of good stuff, man. Give us a lot of insight and actually what it takes to be on stage. And it's, we're just really grateful for you.
I'll be calling you for some advice time to time. So
cool. I hope you guys got some good content. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you today on the Stu Nods podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We want to just, thank Mike for coming on and, talking to us a little bit about, his bodybuilding experiences and, little tips and tricks that he uses to keep himself lean year round. We also want to thank again Fidel, his wife Simone, and everyone over at Muscle God Fitness Apparel for sponsoring today's episode. They got some really cool gear, so be sure to check them out on their Instagram. We will link their handle down in the description below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Stu Nods podcast.
We got some big stuff coming, and some big Christmas stuff.
Yeah, definitely
It'll be fun.
Geared up for the holidays. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to be ready for this. So.
No, definitely not. This is something completely out of left field. I can't wait. But yeah, so again, thank you for tuning in, and as always, tune it off.
Signing off.
Stop it off.